our live stream, which again, we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do the Joy of Pancakes, which is when the artists kind of cut loose and just make art pieces.
Oh, I forgot to make sure the cameras were hot.
Hi everybody. Hello butterflies.
Hold on, guys. Anyone that's watching the stream, just wait 2 seconds here. All right. Whoops. All right. Hey, guys. So, another episode of Joy Pancakes here. It's our Friday late stream, 6 o'clock or 6:30, 6:45 being late, I guess. I mean, what is late anymore since nobody, at least I don't know, I don't have a bedtime at this point. I sleep when I'm tired, which is, it's weird. It's a weird sensation. But anyways, this is a stream where we make long form pancake art. So a lot of times we do request streams, where we ask what you want us to make. This is a little different. This is artist choice, and it's a chance for us to get a little more creative and in depth and really take our time and try to make something really, really unique and special. And it looks like I got a little bit of brown batter inside my plain batter. We don't want that, so I gotta fish that out of there so I don't ruin my plain batter. All right, so last week I made a piece based off of Star Trek Discovery, the TV show, which is an amazing TV show, and you all should watch it if you're not. It's so good, and it keeps getting better. Yeah, it's the best Star Trek show since Next Generation by a long shot. And so I had a really good time doing that, and I really liked what came out of it. So I'm gonna keep on that theme for a little bit here, and make some more Star Trek Discovery pancakes. So I'm gonna sneak into our closet here and grab a couple towels. Hey guys, people in the chat there, grab a couple towels and we'll get started. This will be my towel off to the side to wipe my bottles off stuff, and I got my pocket towel. Takes 2 towels to do this correctly. So I've got a bunch of, I didn't pick one particular piece out today. I grabbed a bunch of references that I thought would be interesting. So I'm gonna actually choose those now. You'll be able to see up in the top right corner, you can see the iPad itself. But I think what I want to start with is this. This is a, it's going to be an interesting one to do because it's so blurry, and that's kind of hard to do in pancake art. But this is a silhouette of the Red Angel from season 2. So it's kind of a silhouette, so it's a little bit simpler. There's not a lot of details in there, but because of that, the way it's all faded, that's going to make it interesting to say the least. And then I think for my second one, I'll probably do, thinking maybe a portrait of Burnham, the main character from the show, or one of the main characters, but the main character. So anyways, I'm gonna switch over to the overhead here, and oh, what's up, Melvin? I'm not Dan, I'm Ben, but that's cool. My last name's Daniel, so it works out. I'm just one of the many artists here at Pancakes. So I'm gonna switch to overhead here, and we'll get started. All right. And Dana's in the other room, live streaming on TikTok. So you probably might hear her in the background a little bit. She might wander in here and say hey. So how's everybody doing? So we've got 3 artists here locally in St. Louis. I'm gonna scoot this over and make it more centered. So we got 3 artists here in St. Louis, and we all happen to be the co-owners. So we have 3 artists and our manager, and we all own 25%. And then we've got an artist in LA, an artist in Phoenix, and an artist in Dallas. And they mostly did events, which is not really a thing right now, which is why we've been doing so many live streams, just like everybody else in the world. And but they're still around. They're making pancake art. They're doing their own live streams and stuff, and we try to toss them what we can work-wise, even though there's not a lot, since 90% of everything we did before this was flying around the world making pancake art live, which hopefully someday that'll be a thing again. But for now, we're gonna enjoy doing these live streams. All right. This is gonna be an interesting one. So, is there any truckers out there? Say truckers instead of Trekkies. If anyone knows the difference. So these are the wings. So the Red Angel, and it's, oh yeah, here comes Dana.
Hi Ben.
What up?
I'm just here to show them all of the preserved pancakes we have.
Oh yeah, these are all up on the website
Pancake
right now.
Justin Bieber. It's almost like it's 10% off or something. Rita Kahlo. Some of these nice scenery things Dan made. Whoa. So I'm not live streaming right now just to, you guys want Gordon Ramsay? Can yell at you about where the lamb sauce is? Funny meme.
Ah, I understood that reference. So the Red Angel is talking about, not actually an angel. Jim Shim's Star Trek is a very secular show, so of course there is a pseudo-scientific explanation for everything. This is from season 2 of the show. Alright. Let's see here, let's see how I just double check my work here. Make sure I got this might be a little, let's see, I'll make that wing just a little, oh yeah, I made that too, that wing is too wide. I need to get some Q-tips, so I don't need to, I'm not using my fingers all this time to wipe stuff off. That would be funny. I do eat pancakes for breakfast occasionally, though. I tend to make like low carb, quote unquote, healthy pancakes, so not quite the pancake batter we're using here, which is just a regular, just add water, but definitely probably less now than I did before I started doing this, though. I guess there's a little bit of irony in there. Okay. There we go. A little bit better. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's shorten that up just a smidge, but it's a little intense with that taper. All right, so there's wing number 1. So I want to make sure that we get the symmetry right, or at least approximately right. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but Let's see how we did here. Are they about the same width? About. Not that far apart from each other. Okay. Interesting about silhouettes is they have to be pretty spot on. I guess in this instance, it's probably not a particularly well-known thing, so even if I screwed it up a little bit, no one would really know. I'm not even sure how popular the show is. Whatever it is, it should be more popular, but that's not anything I can do. Nothing I can do about that. Just gonna enjoy it as long as it lasts. One thing I can do is, I feel like the waist is too big. Some more of a. There we go. Okay. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. It's about, well, then I do that. Making a mess. Okay, that'll work. Gotta love these Q-tips. They really are a lifesaver when it comes to this stuff. Helps us fix all of our little mistakes that we make. Okay, so that's our basic silhouette. Now we're gonna work on stepping this down to a different color here. So we started off with like an espresso, a really, really dark brown. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go, so I'm gonna step this down to a red on one side and to a blue on the other side, because that's basically what it does. It's very, the intro to the show has a very interesting, a lot of interesting art in it. And sort of one of the reasons why I decided to go for it, because it sort of lends itself to pancake art with its color scheme and everything. And so a lot of a lot of browns, and then on top of that, a lot of reds and blues and some purple interspersed in there, which is interesting. So, actually mix some of this in here. It's one of the things you can do with this. That technique that I've been sort of working on is actually mixing in colors while I go to get a pretty interesting effect with that. It's almost like a watercolor-esque effect. Okay. Alright, so there's that, and now what we're gonna do is actually gonna start right away with some more reds in there. What's up, Al? How you doing? So while this other layer of red is still wet, and that's one thing that you got to really try to do with this is to if you're gonna mix on the griddle like this, you really gotta make sure you get to it while it's wet, so that like when you're going around the edges like this, the colors will just naturally sort of pull together on their own. And that's, I'm hoping that that'll give us the blurry sort of out of focus effect. It's a little bit of a crapshoot here because pancake art is a very fickle art form, and we're still figuring it out as we go. We don't really know what we're doing.
Guys, it's Ben, and he's streaming right now, and you can go to the link in our bio, pancakes.com/live. Wait, no.
Pancakes? Yeah, that's right.
No, I have the store in our bio. So if you go to the link in our bio, you'll be teleported magically to the Pancakes store. But if you then go to our menu on that website and click Watch Live, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, or just type pancakes.com/live into your computer. You can watch Ben here, or you can look this up on YouTube. Go on YouTube and type in Pancakes, and you'll see live. But what are you making, Ben?
So this is the Red Angel. It's a silhouette of the Red Angel from Star Trek Discovery, season 2. Not an actual angel. As with all Star Trek, there is a pseudo-scientific explanation for everything. But I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched the show. And if you're not watching the show, you should watch the show because it's freaking amazing. If you liked Star Trek Next Generation at all, you should watch this. By far the best thing Star Trek that's come along since Next Generation. So
guys, come watch Ben streaming. You can go to YouTube. Pancakes is YouTube, Pancakes is Facebook, or you can just go to your little web browser and type in pancakes.com/live. It's that easy. And then you'll be watching Ben. And we've got like a really good crowd tonight watching Ben, so you can chat with people and
chat across all the platforms we're streaming on, because we got the chat overlaid on the video.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, thank you, CEO of wait, I need to try to pronounce this name. CEO of Simping over Kakyo and who's that? But I'm glad you're CEO.
Okay. Alright, so now gonna start messing with our blues and just kind of see how this works. I think this piece is probably not going to take that long. I don't know, a lot of time, like a lot of the pieces I end up doing on the Joy Pancakes end up taking quite a while because I tend to overthink the details, considering the fact that this piece is just a silhouette and it's all blurry and out of focus, and there's not, there's so much going on here that's not obvious. There's no, so it already kind of feels like I'm hitting the home stretch on this. I mean, I'm not, but I don't. The next piece, though, being a portrait, that one's gonna, I got a feeling I'm gonna have to focus on that one. Those are far more difficult because, it actually looks like somebody. You don't want to screw that up. Mix some of that in there. See how this looks. Definitely just kind of trying to pay attention to like all these little details in here, but there's so much going on. It's kind of trying to catch every little thing. Okay. All right, so I'm making Corey on Facebook there. I'm making it's a silhouette of the Red Angel from the show Star Trek Discovery. It's part of the so the Star Trek Discovery has a really interesting intro, and they have lots of really neat art within that. And so I'm kind of just aping some of that, or using that as my base to make these pieces. Like, I really love the show, so and I love Star Trek in general. I guess that's part of, I've been watching Star Trek since I was a kid. Also love Star Wars, so like I go both ways. But all right. So we're almost done with this guy here. Just kind of getting these last little details in there, and we'll see how it looks. Trying to nail a silhouette is always a little bit difficult, so and this last little bit of blue that I'm going to throw in here just to give it that last little. And I'm mixing my colors on the griddle to try to get some sort of interesting, like watercolor-esque gradients and stuff out of it. Sort of like injecting a little bit of hopefully planned chaos into the process here so we'll see how it works. It's a bit of an experiment, as all of this is. Like, pancake art in general is just kind of an experiment. Okay, and then I think I've got some purples here. I don't want to leave these purples out. How is the storage of this color? Hey, what's up, James? I'm glad you've been watching us on Instagram, and glad you're watching us on YouTube now. The storage of the colored flour. So, I mean, we don't use colored flour. Not sure if I totally follow what you, but what we do is we color the batter with icing gels. So it's like the same thing that a cake decorator uses for to color icing. And I guess they're coloring gels, not icing gels would be the technical term. And so we use those, and we just use regular plain batter and just color that in these bottles. Like you see over here, I've got a drip cut full, and this is called a drip cut, but it's just a receptacle for the batter, and so we keep all the batter in that, all the plain batter, and then we pour them into these smaller bottles and color them from there. So, okay, so now I'm gonna use some lighter browns here. I just have to figure out which ones I want to use. I want to use these two here. So one thing I want to make sure I do here is I'm gonna frame this in just a little bit because I like the feet here and stuff. I want to make sure. All right, I'm just framing that in there so I don't go outside of my boundaries here with some of this stuff. And so, all right, so we got that, and I think what I'm gonna do is use there's some interesting, like, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna be able to get in there, all these little details, because they're very, very, very tiny. And even that, like it's like old scientific drawings almost with, I mean, they're like, or planetary drawings, or I don't know what you want to call them, but the lines on them are so fine, I may have to skip those altogether. But we'll see, I might be able to just kind of fake something that gives that similar impression. Just gotta really be careful and not make my lines too big, because that's that'll work. And then we're going to use these browns here. See if we can get, so there's sort of a gradient from left to right on this. I'm going to see if I can do something like that.
If you go to pancakes.com/live or Pancakes' Facebook or Pancakes' YouTube or Pancakes' Twitch,
gonna like slowly work my way over to a more plain batter. And of course, my bottle got clogged up there. And there we go. Do this, and then we'll fill in our silhouette, and we'll see how we did. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Alright, so I got that. And so I'm going to do plain batter the rest of the way here. And then we'll fill in our silhouette. And then we'll cook this bad boy and see how it all turns out. Okay, and then we got our last big bottle here. Let's see, actually I missed a couple spots here with our cavity here. I think I got everything. Yeah. So the rest of it can be filled. So I'm gonna do our first fill here with this smaller bottle, just so I can really be careful about following the edge here, and then I'll do the rest of it afterwards with our bigger bottle, since I don't have to be quite as careful, and I'll have a bigger outline to follow, and then we'll just kind of cover the back with plain batter and fill in any holes that we missed and all that stuff. And then we'll have a pancake. All right. We'll see how we did. Okay. Go ahead and turn on our griddle. Turn it about 175. Tend to go a little bit low with that. We'll let it start cooking first. That was. Should have just left that. Sorry. Okay. Did I make the silhouette too short? Let that cook a little bit more before I start backing it here. We're gonna have a pancake here real soon. Alright, starting to see some bubbles here. It's a good indicator. And so the reason I'm putting all this extra batter down, it's not for no reason. So it can provides it a little more structural integrity. So that way when I do flip it, it'll hold together better, and then it'll also hold together better if it's good enough to preserve, because we do preserve pancakes. We sell them on our store. There's a bunch on there right now. Most of the pancakes that get made during these Joy Pancake streams, they end up on our framed cast in resin, so they will last longer than all of us. And alright. And having this extra batter on the back helps with that. Okay. Okay. I'm just kind of popping the bubbles in the back now and filling those in. It's a little trick I figured out to really make the pancake dense. Okay. Starting to smell pancakes here. Michigan? What about Michigan? Get a spatula here so I can actually flip this guy. I've been there before. I used to work in Michigan. I stayed in Jackson for a while. Did some before I did pancake art, I worked in telecommunications, so I did some fiber splicing up in Michigan for the phone company out there. One of the phone companies. There's more than one. Alright, we're almost there. Oh, looks like we've got a loose pancake. Yep, alright, so I'm gonna alright. Oh. Interesting. Definitely didn't get the same effect, but I got an interesting one nonetheless. I ain't mad at it at all. That's pretty neat. Ah, Grand Rapids. All right. Let that cook on the other side for a little bit. You can turn up the temperature a little bit. Oh, hey, what's up, Bobby in the shop? You can miss as many streams as you want. Like, yeah, you're not obligated. We appreciate when you can show up, and we ain't mad at you when you don't. All right, there we go. So that's the silhouette of the Red Angel from Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. So now we've got that. So that's sort of that's our warm up here. Now we're gonna move over to we're gonna do a portrait, which I did a portrait last week of Saru. Let's see, I'm gonna pull that up on my phone here. Anyone who wasn't here can, yeah, so this is, let's see, which camera is that? I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that. Is it still in frame? Yeah, it's a little blurry 'cause I'm too close to the camera, but that was what I did last week. So we're gonna do Michael Burnham, who is the main character. There's a lot of characters, but he's definitely the one who's been the focus, per se, of the show. So, alright, so here's that. And I'm going to turn this griddle on. I'm going to actually grab another griddle, because I like to work with a cold griddle. I prefer not to have any residual heat. Set this off to the side. This one still has you can see some of the imprints from the art that was done here on this thing last. I might have to get a wet paper towel and wipe that off.
Oh, did you flip something?
I did.
Whoa! Whoa! It's the angel, I think, from Star Trek. I don't know.
The Red Angel.
Neat. Ben's just riffing over here. Whoa, you're gonna make that?
Yep.
Sick,
You can do
guys.
Michael Burnham.
Ben's gonna make that. Maybe it'll end up being a preserved pancake, but you're all on sale at pancakes.com/store for 10% off. Whoa. Crazy. Like, how many people we got watching the stream here?
We got,
Quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, we look at all these comments. Y'all should join in. pancakes.com/live. Crazy.
All right.
All this nonsense. Look at.
Yeah,
It's
anyone who's wondering
working.
what's going on, Dana's streaming on TikTok right now.
Yeah, I am.
All right. So we got a nice cool griddle, nice clean griddle. This one still had the imprint of the last pancake made on it.
Nice. Guys, go watch Ben. Go watch Ben by going to pancakes.com/live.
All right. So this one is obviously a lot more detailed. Which, all right, we'll see how we do here. So I'm going to start with the eyes here. So Dana was just asking me if people ordered a preserved pancake right now, if they'd get it for Christmas, and I was saying yes, they would. There's still time, and we usually do you know, 2 to 3 day shipping. So we've got a bunch of preserved pancakes up on our website for sale right now, and then we've also got an item on our store where you can actually get your own 9x9 pancake of whatever you want. Or you can send us an email or fill out a form on our website, and if you want something bigger than that, and talk to our manager Hank, and he can figure out all the deets of what you need and see how much work it would take for us to get what you need. Okay. Biggest thing with the portrait is you gotta be everything is a reference point in a portrait. So it's like if I'm looking at, so like I start with the eye, and then that is the beginning, and then everything else, like, okay, well, how far is this from the eye? Where does it end in relation to the corners of the eye? And then as I keep going, I keep referencing everything else. Like, okay, where does the jaw turn in relation to the corner of the mouth? All those types of things. And eventually, if you do that, you sort of have to stop yourself from making assumptions about where things are and try to look at them exactly as they are in relation to some other piece of the body or of the face, to make sure it's accurate. Because otherwise, you're bound to make a bunch of really stupid assumptions, because that's what happens. Your brain makes a lot of really silly assumptions about where things are because you're just so used to looking at them. So if you watch some people who paint portraits, they'll actually do them upside down, just as a way to sort of hack their brain to not do to break out of those assumptions. Okay. Okay. So just so everybody knows, like if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing, here's my reference, at least the start of it. So that's what I'm basing all of this on. See, I moved that eyebrow too high. So I'm gonna bring that down. You want to do every little detail. You want to miss as few details as possible, as far as like proportion and perspective. Because if everything is in relation to everything else, once you start making one mistake, and you use that as a reference for something else, then you're just going to start making even more, because everything will be off in relation to that one mistake that you made. And that's why portraits can be difficult. Okay. So there's that. So we got the eyes. So now we're going to start the nostrils here. I just want to figure out where those... So there's... Okay. Okay, so we got that. So now we're going to move on to the lips. And this is always, so you want to make sure that you get them in the right spot. So it's pretty easy to put the lips too low or too high. And then obviously they won't look like what they are, or who they are, whom they are. I'm not sure what the correct grammar is.
We make Among Us ones all the time, and we'd be happy to make them Among Us pancakes.
Careful, I don't want to make the top line of those lips too big. So I'm gonna thin those out just a little bit. This is the top line of a lip. Which is always kind of interesting because like the top line of the lip is usually actually much lighter than, like it's very easy to just want to use dark lines for that, but there's usually some light hitting that and it's usually pretty bright, and everything behind it. Of course, if you make it too thick, then it ends up looking kind of like a milk mustache, so like it can be difficult, especially trying to get really thin lines in pancake batter. Be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we got it. Okay, so now the biggest thing I want to check is where that ends in relation to her nose here. So it's actually, it ends right about there. She doesn't have particularly wide lips, so I don't want to overdo, so that's just about right. I think that's okay, so we got that. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and see how much detail I can get. Can't zoom in much more than that. So now we're going to do that middle line between the two lips here. Try to, and we'll start getting we'll put in the biggest thing, the lips that you can do to make it look, to have more depth, is to the highlights. The highlights are really what give lips their depth. Okay. And again, I don't want to make these too thick. I can always make them thicker. It's difficult to make them thinner. Okay, and then the bottom line, which is also, well, it's not quite as dark, so I don't want to use my espresso. Use my next step down there. She's got, it's almost like a smirk. Just like the top of her, the corners of her lips are just a little bit turned up. So I do want to capture that little bit. And I do want to capture the shine in her eyes. Just a little dot of white. Actually, I'm going to fix it just a smidge. Because it's actually on the other side. A lot of times I just kind of wing it with this stuff, but actually I want to try to get this one as accurate as possible. I'm going to see how good we can do here. Okay, so we got that. So now we're going to start working on the jawline and the neckline and the chin. So the chin, the way it's lit, is pretty darn dark. So I think in this instance we can use our espresso for the chin up until right about here. At least on this side. The other side I think we'll have to use a slightly lighter color. I just don't want to... Now let's see, corner of the chin. He's right about on the inside, so it's right about here. So that should be approximately where the chin starts to turn. And then the actual jaw itself turns, looks like right. It's hard to see on this side. You know, we can use the other side as so like right below on the right side and right above the corners of the lips on the left side. And that is definitely too high. So how far, I mean, that's not, because the lips, because mine's bigger than the reference, so, but I definitely want to make the chin a little bit longer. Don't want to squish the chin. Okay. Then, how far from the corner? See, I think, yeah, I did it again. I gotta go even further down. I don't want to give her too long of a chin, but I'm obviously giving her way too short of one. And I feel like that might be too long. This is where it starts to get difficult. But once you get this part done, then you'll have a better idea how the rest of it's going to be. Okay. That is way too close to the corners of her lip. It should be, and really should be right about here. So maybe I can use this as a way to figure out where the jaw or where the chin should be. Get that angle right. See? Okay, and then from the eyes, right about, doesn't feel quite right. I feel like I got the angle a little bit off. Don't worry, guys. We'll get this. Okay, so corner.
I streamed for an hour.
Wow.
I don't really want to put this up back in the wall if I can help it. It would be nice to just have it out.
No, leave it out. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Just like.
Thanks. I directed. Some people said they were going to join your stream, so.
Oh, cool. Hopefully, if anybody's here from TikTok, hi.
I'm gonna go, guys, but enjoy the stream. Hopefully you can hear me.
They should be able to hear you a little bit.
Cool. Well, good luck with this. Looks like it's gonna be really cool.
If I pull it off, it's gonna be neat.
Yeah.
If I don't pull it off, then, you know.
The steaks are delicious.
Yeah, I'm being very meticulous about this jawline here. Because that's the one thing I don't want to screw up. Oh, we got a Hank boy.
I'm not making anything.
Yeah.
Jessica's making some nutter butter snowman.
Hmm.
Some dye
Interesting.
for the nose. Oh yeah, I found a bunch of boxes behind the floor that we didn't know was in there.
All right, I'm gonna.
I think I streamed on TikTok for an hour.
There we go.
Well, people always just seem really genuinely interested and happy to talk.
Yeah, anytime I've done, I've had a good time.
All right, so I'm gonna come back to that because obviously, I'm not gonna. I need something else to help me sort of reference this, and the corners of the mouth are not helping me out. So I'm gonna get the chin, how I know it should be, and then I'm gonna come back to it
Yeah, just throw them in a folder, call it, whatever.
Okay, so now we're going to start on the, we're going to go to the ears here on the other side and kind of work our way down towards that. See if we can't get this all figured out here. So be right about there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's gonna help quite a bit here.
3 bottles too. It'll cost her.
So Hank's
Oh, we got those other bottles. Yeah.
Hank's girlfriend is making a nutter butter, he said?
Snowman. I'll use an almond bark, coating nutter butters, and then drawing snowman features on it.
Oof, that sounds decadent. She's making some decadent snacks. Alright. There we go. See, now I can start to feel, I feel like I can see where the chin's supposed to be, which I was wrong, again. I keep wanting to put the chin up too high. All these silly assumptions you make in your head. I make so many silly assumptions, Hank. Hank's saying I don't do that. He's like, that's, I'm no different than anybody else. I'm gonna step to the side here and wipe off a little bit of a, I'm gonna mute my mic so y'all don't have to hear me sniffling. Alright, and I'm back. Alright. So now that we got that figured out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other side here. I'll manage to get that symmetry. There's a really hard light on this side to the face. So then the ear ends pretty much right below the nose. So right about there. There is some lines in there. So all right. Shape of that chin, right? I think I made just a smidge too wide. Down. Just a little bit on this side, but we're pretty well there. We're in the ballpark, which is important. And some my white, and it's plain better. Feels pretty good. And you know what? I think the most important thing here is that we just trust it. Because we could spend all day obsessing over this and never feel quite right about it. So at a certain point, you just gotta say, you know what, I think it's gonna be okay. And just let it be what it's gonna be. Sometimes the more you obsess over a detail, you can actually make it worse. Because you spend too much time focusing on it that you can't even see it anymore. Okay, so now we got that. So now we're gonna get the basic here, the basic. So we're gonna start doing the neck a little bit. So the neck starts right about I made this side of the jaw a little too wide. Just looking at it in relation to where the neck is. So, but that's okay. We can go back. We can fix that. We have the technology. It's good though. It's like catching those things. On one level, it's like frustrating because it's like, another little thing I've got to fix. But then at the same time, it's like, wait, I caught it. So that means that ideally, it's going to end up looking better because this mistake that I almost made isn't going to end up being a mistake. Hopefully. Dana's over there dropping stuff. She's okay though. She yelled and made sure I knew. So don't worry, guys. Dana's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this real quick. So now that we've got a better idea of what's happening here. So, okay, so I wanna make sure. So I'm looking at the neck and I see where the neck, so if anyone was wondering what's going on, so I saw where the neck ends, where the neck goes with the, in relation to the corner of the eye. And I realized that I had the jaw too far out. Because if I put the jaw in relation to where the eye was, the neck would be too far from the edge of the jaw if I put it where it is in relation to the corner of the eye. So then I knew that the jaw itself was too broad, which would make it not look like what I'm trying to make. So now that I've got that fixed, it's starting to feel a lot more like what I was trying to do originally. It's starting to feel a lot more like what I'm trying to draw. I don't know, anyone here that draws and you're sort of going through the process and then it finally at some point starts to look like the thing that you're making. It's always a good feeling. Okay. So I got that. I'm going to zoom out some because I do want to get, one thing I like to try to include is the uniform. And at least, or anytime I'm doing a portrait, I try to include like keeping the collar in there of somebody's shirt or something, because it's, you know, it can be very distinctive. Let's see here. I'm gonna play with the color a little bit here, though. This is a good opportunity to do that. And so whenever making sure you at least keep like the top of the shoulders in, or collar of the shirt and stuff. The benefit of that is it gives it a lot more depth, or not even depth, it makes it look like it's not a disembodied floating head.
Hey, I put all the towels in the wash today, and I kind of forgot about them. They're still in there. You think they'll be fine? Like, do I need to, like, put them in the dryer now?
So trying to make it not look like a disembodied head is always a good goal, I think. So the uniforms in the show, they're blue, so that's why I'm like, I figured keep the top half is pretty much all browns, and there's some grays, and there could be some yellows in there. I could have gotten a little more creative with that, but the uniforms themselves are blue, so I was like, I can start tossing some like purple in there and stuff like that. Kind of get a little, I guess, playful with the color. So there's that. And then we're going to do the collar of the shirt. This part goes up above it. Wraps around. Sort of approximating the colors here. You don't have like to get a shirt collar to look okay. Like no one's really looking at the shirt collar, so like it's more there just to give it, to make it feel like there's more beyond. Like there's, you know, you're looking at the top half of a person that's attached to something else. So like you don't have to. You can get a little, I guess, sloppy when you're doing these.
Sorry, I have no idea how to know when, like as far as I can tell, all you can do in that dryer is set the temperature. So before you leave, can you just like, if they're dry, turn off the dryer?
Okay, so got the basics here of the uniform. Dr. Dan, yep, that's definitely me, not somebody else. I'm not Dan. Sorry, Paul. I mean, I guess technically I am a Dan. I'm one of the Dans. I'm one of the 3 Dans of Pancakes. My last name's Daniel.
Dan has black hair.
He does have black hair. And I have brown hair.
Can you blame him?
It's a mess underneath all this. Yeah. Would we be the off-brand, or are we the Sam's Choice? Or at this point are we all just like, is
I
he?
think we're all off-brand.
It's like it's the equivalent of Levi's versus Dockers, like
Yeah.
equally good, just
Yeah.
different.
Maybe Tiger Tomato. Is the
Oof. Oof.
I don't mean that.
You know, he who shall not be named. Okay.
Alright, but I'm gonna go. Enjoy your stream.
See you, Dana.
See ya.
Dana is going home. She's been here for a while. Okay. So now we're going to start working on the hairline. So one big thing here is I have a tendency to shrink foreheads. So that's one thing I want to try to make sure I don't do in this situation. But then I don't want to do the inverse of that, obviously, and end up giving them a 5 head when all they need is a 4 head. So it's and this part's a little harder to measure because there is no like, what is the reference point? There is no real reference point per se, other than like how far is it from their eyebrows. So okay, this is going to be a really big pancake. It's going to be way bigger than what I normally. The Xmasaru was kind of big too, but I don't think it was this big. That she has really tall hair, so that's sort of it's throwing me off here. I mean, as far as my sizes, and Saru has no hair. He's a Kelpian, so. And as you all know, Kelpians don't have hair; they have ganglia. Totally different. Okay. There's that. That's the. I feel like might. I think it might just need to come up a little bit higher in the middle here, but otherwise it's okay. It's pretty on the nose. Pretty on the hair. I don't know what I'm saying. And just a minor adjustment. If that. Okay. So now we can start doing the rest of the hair here. And if I gotta adjust the forehead after this, I can always go back. Sometimes it's good to just step away from one problem and come back to it later with a little more information. So like if I have a little more information about the hair and how it looks, I can come back to it and be a little more conscious of where the forehead actually is. Okay. Yeah, that's about right for the little bit. So you're really tall here, so we're just gonna kind of mark it off just a little bit to kind of make sure that I'm getting all the pieces here. So that way I've got basic path to follow, so I don't make it too short or too tall, and just kind of that goes across. Bring that out just a little bit. Luckily, she hair's dark brown, so since I'm doing my outlines in dark brown, I can kind of just go over and slightly adjust here.
See ya.
See you, Dana. All right. Dana's left the building, so it's just you and me now. And now the only one in the Pancake Art studio. Okay, that's starting to feel like something. I might made the hair too small. I made it too big. Being very. Yeah, I'll just take a chunk of it out. Come back to that. Kind of put the details of the edge in there. Okay. So there's that. So now we're going to start with we're going to start with highlights here. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Might need to adjust the left eye just a little bit. Technically the right eye, it's a mirrored image, but yeah, there's not, the iris of the left eye is actually too small. I don't make her look like, I don't want to make it look like a lazy eye. And that's what it would look like currently. So, okay. Now we're going to start working on highlights. Redoing the iris can always be difficult because you really got to be extremely careful. Keep your line work thin as possible, because the outline of the iris is extremely fine in detail. And it's actually easier to do when the top line of the eye is still wet, because you can kind of drag some of that top line of the eye down and use that to help form the iris. However, I think we did an okay job there. I think that's going to be pretty close to what we want. Do you want to catch that turn of the iris? Just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I feel much better about that. All right, so now we get to start playing with highlights and shading, all that little detail. We'll use plain batter for the shade or the highlights and olives. You have to be careful because there's such fine lines that you have to and just a drop of white in there. Okay. Now, got that, and then we're gonna just kind of start on these over here. I'm not gonna do a ton, so I'm using my white batter right now. I'm not gonna do a whole lot with the white, just a little bit, and for the really, only like the most pronounced of highlights, and then I'm gonna use plain for the rest of it here. Really, I think that might be it. Over and over here on the neck. And the rest of these are going to be done with plain batter. I want to make sure I do these. Get this one. The batter's still wet, so they mix together really well. Hopefully, ideally. That way you get a really nice even gradient. That's really one of the hardest things to do with pancake batters, to get a nice even gradient from one color to the next. That's why like anime type stuff tends to work really well for pancake art, because all of those hard gradients they lend themselves to pancake art. Okay. There it turns down. So I'm kind of drawing zones. So there's like zones of highlight and shading, and so you just kind of pick out the basic shape of it, and then you go from there. So that's sort of what I'm doing here. There. There's not a lot of hard lines. All the way down, basically to the eyebrows. So just kind of follow around. Enter. Basic shape. Okay. Let's start filling these little zones in. Extend all the way down there. You see I'm actually dragging it through to like pull the batter across. It's a little trick you can use to color in a little bit more without having to put more batter down, because you always run the risk of putting down too much batter and then it runs and it, you know, starts to go to get into places where you didn't intend for it to go. It's probably a good metaphor in there for life. Oh. Okay, so got our basic highlights done. So now we're going to start working on our shading. And those little. So we're going to start with the neck. So again, very similar process here where I'm just sort of looking at the shape of it. Go based off of that. Of course, this is the darkest portion right below the neck. That's where the darkest shadow is cast. And that's how you do it if you want to make someone look flat, if you want to make someone look like they got a hard jawline. Here. If you ever get your picture taken by a professional photographer, they will make sure to light you to make sure you get a shadow cast on your neck. Alright. So, got that. I want to make sure I do. So I gotta, so up to this point, I'm gonna keep track of what colors I'm using here. So this is going to be used for my darkest shading. So that leaves me with a dropped. All right, so that's in my absolute darkest, but I'm not really using it for much. So I just got to keep track of everything so that way I don't start getting colors mixed up and end up filling an area in with a color that I need to use for a fill. So I have this too, which could be used if I need it. So I got a plain batter down for our highlights. So our next step would be this. And if this is our darkest shade, this would be our next. So that means this color right here this is our fill. So I'm going to set these to the side because I want to make sure I don't use those for anything, because that's the color I'm going to fill the face in with. And I want to make sure that nothing blends with, like I don't accidentally blend a bunch of stuff in with that and cover up a bunch of details. I've definitely done that more than once, and it is muy frustrating. shading of the nose here. Not quite as dark as the shading of the neck, so we don't need to. Right along the cheekbone there. Okay. I'm getting somewhere here. A little more highlights to drop in there just to connect that to the upper lip, but I do want to make sure I don't miss it. Is the word for that little like dip by the upper lip. I have no idea what the term is for that. I know it has one. Okay, so there's that little highlight zone, and then this comes down below the brow and makes like a little triangle right there a little bit. So we're going to kind of stick that in there. Messy the edge a little bit here. Okay. Yeah, sorry, my head's on the shot there. Yeah. Kind of looks like the Terminator on the TV there. With the half thing, but all right. So I got that. I'm just gonna keep track of the browns. I'm missing one. I'm missing one. There, that's it. And I've got this too. So I've got these I can play with. How close is that to this? Okay. Looks like it's a little lighter than that, so okay. That's a little darker than that. So it would be, yep, these two and these two. So what I start to do here is we're going to go around the edges of our highlight with our next lightest brown in the palette to one thing I want to do before I get too far ahead of myself here is a little bit of hair that goes all the way down here. I want to make sure I get that in there before I accidentally cover it up. Okay. And go around the edge of our highlights just a little bit. Some cases go over them because the interesting thing is because the batter is so thin, it's actually like semi-transparent in some spots. So if you go over it with another color, that color can actually like shine through a little bit. It can help give you some interesting gradients. No, we got Hank's back, everybody. Everybody.
One of those apparently was leaking at the bottom.
And Hank's gone. Alright, it's just you and me now, guys. Alright, so. Alright. Get back to keeping track of my browns here so I don't get lost. Alright. A little bit of shading for the ear right here. Okay. That's that same brown. So, do our next brown down. Actually, that part will be fill. So we're going to go the other direction here. What I want to do, there's this really fine line right here. So clear out some space for it a little bit because the batter ran just a little bit. Okay. Go right about here with that. Now we're gonna and the rest of it will be our fill color. Go get irises in there. So to see exactly where they're at in this particular. Okay. So there's that. So now we're gonna sort of graduate the rest of this down till we're on both sides, sort of meet in the middle with our fill color. So the way that I tend to do this kind of stuff is I'll make one big zone of whatever shade, and then I'll do little lines, just the lines. I won't do big chunks of anything anymore, and to sort of move it in that direction, and then eventually to the point where the majority of what's left, it just needs to be filled in. I always refer to it as like graduating the colors and stuff like that. I still have no clue if I'm using the right terminology. I'm not a classically trained artist, so. It's just a big drop. That's clocking it. to sort of imply the roundness of the eyes. You give a little bit of shade and alright, so now got the irises. I'm gonna let the irises sit for a bit. I don't want to accidentally smudge them or anything like that. So back to this part. Okay. I need to get really close to my griddle sometimes to actually see. So apologies for blocking the shot there. Sometimes I wonder if I should just attach a camera to my head so y'all can see it how I see it. Alright, so we're going to finish off. We'll let that sit for a second. We're going to finish off the lips here. Top lip is really dark, so we can, with the exception of the very corner here, I mean it's pretty much the same as the neck, so we use this here. Dark, a little bit down here, a little bit in the corner right there. Okay. That we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna let that sit for a second, and so while we're waiting on all this to just kind of waiting for it to dry just a smidge. I'm gonna actually highlights over here. See some highlights that I missed. These will be ready by the time I get back. And also I can go over these highlights with the blanks. I use the white over here, so definitely want to soften them a little bit with the plane better. Okay, so now we're going to start working on the hair. So So I got the basic outline of the hair done, and that looks fine. So now we're just going to focus on getting the shading, highlights mostly. So actually, one thing I want to do, well, I'll get to that. There's a little bit of blue in the hair in this reference, and I kind of want to see if I can capture that in there. Alright, so, but right now, first, look at this. People have dark hair, you're not really doing much shading. It's mostly just highlights to give it the depth that you need. Got that. And I'm gonna put some blues over here because there's these little hints of blue, and I really want to try to integrate that. Just a smidge. So I'm gonna do that blue, and then I'm gonna mix it with this more indigo. And I'm gonna swirl it in there and just. Then, almost immediately, I'm going to take darkest brown and I'm just going to go over it, mixing it in. So some of that's going to stay there, some of it's not. There's no real way to see how that's going to turn out. So most of it some of it may disappear. You may not notice it at all, but hopefully some of that stays in there. A little bit more of that too over here. So it's just, actually, I'm just going to go all the way up the side, like a highlight. But then I'm immediately going to come in, put that in there. Okay, I'm gonna step to the side here real quick. Okay, so we got all that. So the hair is darker on this side than this side, so I'm gonna sort of find the point of delineation here where the hair's sort of very obvious, like where the hair starts to change from one to the other, and we'll kind of a little bit of bring it over that way. But more importantly, now that we've done that, I'm gonna immediately mix in this. Oh, thanks, Bryce. Doing what I can with what I have. Alright, so now that we got all that, basically just going to fill in the hair at this point. All the hard work is done. There's not a lot of detail to the hair. That's the one mistake a lot of people, especially starting out, like me included. I mean, good Lord, I made so many mistakes. Like you try to put way too much detail into the hair. You know, that whole like, you try to draw every strand and stuff like that, and it just doesn't work. You end up with they call spaghetti hair. You just draw the shapes of the hair for someone with dark hair, it's not a lot of shapes because it blends in with the shadows. That wouldn't be there on, like, say, someone who had blonde hair, white hair, gray hair. Closer to, so it's hard to see where my line work is at. Okay. So now we're ready to just put my hand in the hair. Don't do that. Don't put your hand in the hair, guys. Pro tip. Same thing over here, so dragging it through. Sometimes you just end up with swirls when you do that, but sometimes you end up with a pretty healthy mix that gives you a good gradient. Which is the idea, that's what we want to do. If the gradient doesn't sit, the swirls might look kind of neat in there anyways. Okay, so now hair's filled in. Still gonna let this face sit for just a little bit longer here before I start filling that in. So I'm gonna do the uniform here. I'm gonna finish that off. So I'm gonna get our blues together here. Okay. Definitely hitting the home stretch on this. We're getting close to the point where I start cooking and we start cooking and we start hoping. Let's see how we did. Here in our white there for the stripe. Okay. So I'm gonna, just like the face, I'm gonna let that sit for a second. I think I'm gonna, well, not quite. I'm gonna do a little bit more detail work. And the rest will be just filled in. Okay. So now we're just gonna let that sit for a second. I'm gonna do the eyes real quick, and then I think we'll be ready to start filling in the face and sort of just seeing if there's anything left that has been overlooked, any little details that need to be filled in. Like one that I can already see a little bit here. Take our lightest pen. It's the highlight of the chin is a little too pointy. It kind of has a roundness to it. And otherwise, though, I think we're pretty much on point. There's a little bit of a highlight there. Yeah, I think otherwise we're pretty well ready here to fill this bad boy in. So do this over here. Okay. I gotta finish filling the lips, actually. That's the one thing I haven't done yet, so I used my darkest brown for that, so we'll use the next shade up to finish it. Still leave a little bit. There's a little bit that's not quite that dark. We'll leave that for the fill. Just a smidge. I also want to make sure that we don't let the lips blend in with the rest of it too. So, okay. To have a layer of separation. All right, so we're ready for the fill on our face. We got our. I'm going to start with the small bottle here just to get us started and move up to the big bottle, and then we'll fill in the uniform, and then we'll start cooking a pancake here. Hopefully these two browns here don't blend together too well. What I did is this one. Sorry, I'm gonna get really close here sometimes. I think I've said that like 6 times during this. When the batter has been sitting on the griddle for a while, it can get pretty thin, and it can be hard to see what you've done or where the lines are. Okay. Yeah, so the brown before this is like a little bit of a pinkish red tint to it, and I did that just to, so even if they're the same value, I guess tone-wise, I don't know what the correct term for that would be, but they'll still have a difference. They'll still have a contrast, simply because one has a little bit of red in it, so they won't. So the chances of them blending together is lessened. Doesn't mean they won't, because weird things happen to batter when it cooks. Kind of does what it wants to do. So I'm just going to fill this whole thing with the small bottle. Just Makes sense. You gotta be gentle with this sometimes, because you can end up, if you squeeze too hard, if it comes out too fast, especially when you're working with in this situation where the griddle's been off the whole time and that batter can still be wet, you'll end up inadvertently pushing batter out of the way and like losing some of your details in the process. That's something you have to be mindful of. Getting the head and not the hairline here. We're going to fill in these little bits where I've missed. Didn't fill in the hairline all the way. Okay. All right, and now we just fill in this neck here. And then we're going to fill in the rest of the uniform. And we're going to do that. I use these for my, so it's going to be this blue here, I think, is the winner. Yeah. Ah, shoot, I gotta plug in this iPad. Oh, good thing we're almost done. This iPad's about to die. Leave it up right above my head. We use it for our, when we're actually recording proper videos, we use it as a monitor and to control the cameras. All right. Somebody who was using it earlier didn't plug it back in after they were done. I'm not gonna point any fingers. It was Dan. But it's okay, we all make mistakes. But if you're watching and you work at a pancake art company and you use the iPad, use an iPad to control the cameras that you record with, remember to plug them back in for the next guy. So that way he doesn't have to plug it in right before the stream starts and hope that it has enough battery to make it through. Okay. And turn the griddle up to a 175. Let it start cooking. And then we'll be, let's see here. Actually, I don't have to do an outline of plain batter. I've got a bunch of colors over here from earlier from Dan doing the stream. So what colors do I want to use here?
You have reached the voicemail box of Kino.
I got the orange. I've got this red that I didn't really use at all. I feel like plain batter is the way to go with this one though. I just don't want to cover up the ear over there because that ear's...
Just wait for the tone.
Nope, gotta make a decision. So here we go. We're just gonna do the orange. actually like that a lot. So now we're gonna start filling all this in.
Is not available right now.
Gotta be careful, because this batter right here is super thin. It's been sitting for a while, and I don't want, so those are gonna be the weakest parts of the pancake, obviously. So we gotta make sure that we're sort of build a wall
Further assistance, enter pound now.
to make sure that the batter doesn't lose its integrity. So I'm gonna try to flip this giant pancake that we don't break this giant pancake in the process.
Number and a message after the tone.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So I have no idea what time it is. I definitely 9:02. So we've been going for about 2.5 hours. So this will probably be my final pancake of the night. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I always look at. I'm supposed to look at the camera. Well, we've got a TV over here where we keep the chat and a monitor, and well, they got it split, so we got the actual stream on one side, so we can see what's going on, and then we've got the chat over there. So like anytime I address the crowd, half the time I'm like I look at the TV, even though nobody knows that I'm looking at a TV. It's a weird little habit, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and hopefully this one turns out really good. I think the last one was interesting. Definitely didn't turn out how I expected. So we'll see. See if this one turns out more. This one's more in line with my expectations, or if it's another surprise. Even though this is a portrait, so it's something I'm a little more familiar with. Don't do a whole lot of them for video, for stuff like this, but I've done thousands of them live at events. Obviously, much faster than this. You're doing them at an event, you got a line of people. There is no time to take any time. You just got to get it done so you can get the next person in line. All right, we've got a loose pancake here. I'm gonna double check to make sure that our camera stays on camera 1 here. All right, you guys ready? All right, 3, 2, actually, you know what? I'm a big old liar. I never record I'm gonna record this for the social medias. So, come on, video. I don't have a lot of time here. Okay. So, it doesn't matter at this point. All right. So, anyways, here we go. I ain't mad at that. I think the gradient might be a little hard, but I think that's okay. Thanks. All right. Let it cook for a second. I'm gonna grab a plate. Thanks, Sally. It was a split-second decision. I felt like it might have been, I don't know, too angry of a color, I guess. But once I once I actually had it down, I was like, oh wait, no, that's the right color. So. Get off of there. All right, switch back to the overhead there. Oh, go back. There we go. There's that. So I'm gonna turn this griddle off. I'm gonna toss this over to the side here and do a quick roundup of all of our pancakes, and we'll say our goodbyes, and I'll start cleaning up my mess. All right. I'll take pictures later. So those are our pancakes for this evening. I'll switch to the wide here. It's number 2, right? All right, cool. All right, so that's it for this time. Appreciate you hanging out with me. 2.5 hours of pancakes, and we got 2 pretty cool pancakes out of it. I had a really good time. I hope you had a really good time. And we'll be back on Sunday, like 2 p.m. Central Time, doing our request stream. So you can hop on the chat and shout out a request. And our boy Jeremy, Anime STL, in the chat there, he keeps running a list of everything, and there's never enough time to make all of the requests. So we just kind of pull from that and just get through as many as we can. So yeah, so come on down, see you Sunday, and thanks for hanging out.